I've created this video to try and help demonstrate the best way to defend against long ball counter attacks against express pace, especially if you're trying to play a high offside line. So obviously this is not a one size fits all. There's always going to be caveats and variations to anything, but this just gives you a basic premise about how to deal with express pace when you're playing with a high defensive line. So, in our example, one of the issues that seems to be commonplace is teams with retaining good possession try and look to maneuver the ball, switch the play, and either exploit with the ball over the top or by threading a through ball in between the centre back and the fullback. So, if I run the example here, so the ball gets set back to one of these players. That player then threads the ball over the top, all the same way from his side. Striker's quicker than our defender and is able to run through and score. Same in here in the wide area. The winger's much faster than the fullback and is able to get through and create a goal scoring opportunity. So one of the things that we were working on to try and prevent the threaded through balls between the centre back and the fullback is to try and be narrow and close up the spaces so we're not spread out across the pitch so much. So as you see, we closed the area here, so we've closed off the gap and the sight line. However, although it's stopped the ball going through between the players, and we've been working on shuffling across as well. So we've shuffled across to condense the play on one side of the pitch, leaving the other player out wide on their own. So it still doesn't solve the issue with the ball over the top. So we see here, the ball can still go over the top, and you still got the issue with the express pace. So, how do we counteract that? So, one of the main things is that you have to have a sweeper keeper with a high starting position, predominantly high, even higher than outside the edge of their box. So, we would want a goalkeeper to adopt a position probably like a quarter of the way out. So, up to this area here. Now, if the ball gets played over in a central area, the goalkeeper is the player that can then be on the cover and clear the ball or switch play if they have a little bit more time. So as the ball comes over, beats the player and the ball is cleared. So the goalkeeper is probably going to cover that threat of anything that's more of a central area. But you wouldn't want the goalkeeper to be covering the area that is out wide in the wings because that just makes them a little bit too vulnerable. But also as well, they might not necessarily, because it's further distances to travel, they might not necessarily actually get out there before the winger. So in this example here, so what we're going to do is we need to then look to drop off. So once that ball's come out to the number 6, our fullback, if it's been a pattern that's happened a couple of times in the game, and understand that the winger is quicker than you, then obviously you don't want to play offsides because it's running a risk by playing offsides as well, because if the player over the course of a 90 minutes, there's going to be times that the player's going to stay onside, and if they're quicker than you, then you're going to have a problem. So you just got to drop off and basically give yourself 2 or 3 yards to get ahead of them. So in here, the ball's played over, dropping off, getting there before, recycling the ball with the goalkeeper, or kicking it out if you're under too much pressure. So again, over here on this side here, dropping off. That time there, the number 8's identified that the ball over the top isn't on, so they've played it to feet. Once that ball, you can see that ball's being played to feet, that's your cue then to then push up, put them under pressure, and also then that's a cue for other players around to try and close the space and try and win the ball back. So, like we said, So sometimes it's not always possible to play offside, especially when you're playing against good players who are able to, maintain the staying onside well and have got pace. So what we need to do is, if you're doing this as a high defensive line strategy, what you need to do is you need to make the attackers honest. So what you would do is you would push up to this position here. You would then make the players get themselves back into an onside position, and it's that point then that you can then drop off slightly and be in a cover position. So as an example here. So you might find then by doing that that you're offering a more of an option to feet, but you identify then that as soon as that ball's on its way to feet, that means that you can then press from behind and close in the player and stop them turning and allowing them easily to get into this space. The more that we can make the opponent pass backwards towards their own goal, the less of a threat they are by playing through balls through in behind our defensive line. So as you see example here, put them under pressure, and then we can then have other players to try and win the ball back, and we can then start an attack from this position. Like I said, it's not perfect, but this gives you a good basic idea how to defend long ball counter attacks when playing a high defensive line. Like I said, the caveat with this is you do the same thing if you're doing a mid block, but instead of pushing up to the halfway line, your starting position or your defensive line is more likely to be just behind where the number 4 is on that line there.